Hockey fans and maybe also Los Angeles hockey fans as well. We are going live with a preview show because tomorrow is a Seattle Kraken and an Anaheim Ducks game day. But I'm not alone in the studio. I am joined by Jason Hernandez of Locked On Ducks. JD, how we doing?
Ooh, what's up? How's it going?
It's going well. I know we have done a green room, Spotify green room together. This was like, I think before I was even official as the host of Locked on Kraken, but we have never gone live on a live stream on YouTube together.
I'll diverge for a second. We did green room not just for hockey. We did green room for the WNBA.
That's right.
Because I have so many thoughts about what just happened.
So many thoughts. Many
congrats
things.
to Candace Parker for winning it for her hometown of Sweet Home, Chicago. I can't sing here.
Sweet Home, Chicago.
Yep. So
I love
props to the Chicago Sky on that. But anyway.
Absolutely. JD, we have so much to get into, including, of course, some breaking news that has happened since we announced this live stream. We're going to get into all of that. But as always, we want to thank you for making Locked on Kraken your first listen, or Locked on Ducks your first listen, depending on where your loyalties lie. But coming up on this show, we're going to preview tomorrow night's game at Climate Pledge Arena. The Seattle Kraken will be hosting the Anaheim Ducks. And oh boy, the numbers are not looking good for the Kraken, but we'll get into that and much more on this crossover episode, or as I like to say, Squadcast episode. But, let's roll that funky music.
Yeah.
You are Locked On Kraken, your daily podcast on the Seattle Kraken, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
We are the Seattle Kraken.
All right, JD, we are live, and I don't know, already the chat is... the Kraken faithful in the house. Love to see it. It's all love, though, in the Pacific Division. We know the Pacific Division doesn't get that much love here. But JD, before we get into...
I know.
I know, right?
I mean, I want to get into that for a hot second. You see the power rankings? You see the disrespect that the Ducks had on that 22nd? Are you kidding me? 22nd? Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, it was a little bit brutal. The power rankings have been tough. Definitely have kept our Locked On kind of group chat buzzing. So the Ducks at 22, the Kraken up a few spots. Or up a spot at 27. I mean, respectfully, I'm like, are we though? Are we? I don't know.
Honestly, there's worse teams out there.
This is true. It just feels, it's just so intimate because obviously I run a daily podcast on the Kraken.
The disrespect. Come on.
It's intense. It's intense. We can go over that a little bit later. But JD, I want to tee you up first to talk about yourself, talk about your show, and then the big news coming from the Ducks.
Yeah, so I've been covering hockey this is my 11th season now. Them are in the American Hockey League. I've been covering the San Diego Gulls for a few years. And much love to the San Diego fans in there because I got to give them enough love. I do have a Thursday show that I devote to the San Diego Gulls every week. Aside from that, the podcast is Locked on Anaheim Ducks, and the Twitter, which is the show's Twitter, is at @L_Ducks. And if you could do the split screen again, my personal Twitter is down there at StimpyJD, which is that show that your parents probably were like, "You're watching that? You're watching Ren and Stimpy."
Is that where it comes from? I love it.
Yeah, so that was my nickname all through middle school was Stimpy.
Oh, wow.
Because I was always very happy, joy.
I love it. That's fantastic. I did not realize that that's what that reference was.
I love that comment. It's going to pop up right now.
This one right here,
Yes.
no love.
Disrespect every
With a
team in the Pacific.
CT. Yeah, it's brutal. It's because no one wants to stay up and watch our games. That's what it is.
They're exciting.
They definitely are. They definitely are.
Come
Well,
on, if
JD,
you're missing out on hat tricks and goalie. Come on, I have to bring up that hat trick
oh yeah.
by Eberly. That was
Oh,
amazing.
that was fantastic. Eberly, I like Eberly. We don't have the Triple J line together, although McCann is off of the COVID protocol list. So glad that Jared McCann is back in action. We probably will see him against Anaheim. But before we get too much into the matchup, JD or Stimpy JD, there was some pretty big news coming from the Ducks. I know you've talked about it on Locked On NHL, but why don't you just refresh everyone who hasn't gotten a chance to listen to that? What is happening with the Anaheim Ducks right now?
Well, it all started yesterday when the news came out that there were accusations of, quote, improper professional conduct against Bob Murray. So they hired an independent investigator. And what happened with that was they had an internal review, and their first findings was that there was abuse, there was harassment, all kinds of stuff going on with Bob Murray. So in the interim, they decided to put him at the time on administrative leave. And when I talked with Sarah Avampado and Jess Balmasto from Locked On NHL this morning, Sarah brought up that if you're typically on administrative leave, you typically do not come back for that. You don't. So then the news, further came along. Like now we're finding that there may have been like some intimidation tactics. There was word that from coaches, staff members, that he was threatening job security for some people. And there was also allegations of aberration. And this is on the heels of what happened with Chicago recently. And I think the memo had a little bit to do with that, if I may talk about the memo really quick.
Yeah, please.
So there was a memo that went out to all 32 clubs saying that they were required to immediately report conduct on or off the ice that is clearly inappropriate, unlawful, or demonstrably abusive, or that may violate the league's policies. So I feel like once that memo went out, then more people had the empowerment to say something. And that's what wound up happening. And that's how we got that investigation against now former GM Bob Murray.
Wow. Yeah. I really appreciate you bringing that up because we just did a Locked On Presents roundtable with a few Locked On NHL hosts. And we talked briefly about the memo. It's definitely in the timeline of things, but it wasn't a central focus, if I'm being honest, of that conversation. For those who listen to Locked On Kraken, you should expect that for Friday's episode. But I think what's important, though, is that myself included, I was kind of skeptical when the NHL and Gary Bettman was saying, well, we have a hotline and, we have a protocol and people know to follow the protocol and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it's like, okay, Gary, but we've kind of heard that before, whether it's
same.
Yeah, right? Like Chicago, we're getting the third party reporting again. That report came out 107 pages, and then all of a sudden now we want to make sure that all of the ways and touch points for people to report abuse is airtight. But this is coming after Akeem Aliu. It's coming after, Babcock. It's coming after a lot of other people that similarly. And when I say similarly, I mean abuse, not the same type of abuse, because of course we're talking sexual assault, trigger warning, excuse me. We're talking sexual assault in the case of the Blackhawks. But as you were talking with the Ducks, it's intimidation. And with Akeem Aliu, it was blatant racism. So the situations are not a one for one, a like for like, but they are similar and they are the same in that a lot of times we're hearing that people who are a part of the National Hockey League, whether it's for a moment or for their career, do not feel empowered and confident and comfortable, one, to report, or even when they do report, that those reports will be taken seriously.
And on top of that, because no one was able to report anything, these actions happened repeatedly over and
Correct.
over and over again. And that was, and actually from like multiple team sources, there was repeated verbal abuse and harassment of players, coaches, other personnel.
That's really tough. That's
Yeah,
tough to
and
hear.
there was also some temper tantrums as well. There was a story that came out a dozen years ago that kind of got overlooked at the time, and now is going to come back to light. I don't know if you remember that Bob Murray actually threw a chair at someone after a game.
Wow.
So, yeah, so for those that are unaware, 12 years ago, Game 7 of a Pacific Division semifinal between, not a division, it was a conference between the Red Wings and the Ducks. And it was Bob Murray that swung a chair around in anger, and it accidentally struck a woman.
Oh boy.
But that case was dismissed after all
Yikes.
that. So that was kind
Yeah.
of swept under the rug. So this is stuff that has been happening for years. And my question is, how could they allow this to go on this far? Now that we have this hotline, now that we're more empowered to speak out on this stuff, I'm hoping that these are further steps to bettering the league in general.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we hope for. And, we talked about it on the Locked On Presents, which is the roundtable. Have to give stick taps to
Yeah.
Armando Velez and Jay and Rachel and Anne, who came on there. And again, that will come later this week on Locked On Kraken. But, as we talked about, unfortunately, we're probably going to have an opportunity to revisit some of these protocols. Already we're seeing with the Ducks. We'll see if it happens again. But if we can, and I know Emily Kaplan from ESPN was reporting that in talking to some of the players, because of that memo, but also because of, I think, just the general response and conversation that's happening in light of that 107-page report because of the sexual assault in the Chicago Blackhawks organization, that players are realizing that their voice will be heard, and that this is an opportunity now for them to talk about when there has been inappropriate behavior at any and all levels. And so hopefully that is what we can glean as a positive, is that players are getting their voice and feeling empowered to speak up, not only when something has happened to them, but hopefully, and this is important, I think, JD, also when they see something that is happening to somebody else.
I hope we see more of that later on down the line. I hope so.
Yeah, here's hoping. It's a sport that we obviously all love. We dedicate a lot of time to it. And so here's hoping that that is what's coming down the pike. But coming up next on this special Squadcast, JD and I are going to dive deep into our two respective teams as they are preparing to go head-to-head tomorrow in Seattle at the brand spanking new Climate Pledge Arena. But JD, we got to talk about the moneymaker here. We got to do our moneymaker here, and we're going to talk about betonline.ag.
Yeah, they're the one place that has us covered, the one place that we trust. And, baseball just ended, but there's still football going on. There's still basketball going on. Got our SoCal teams, Lakers and Clippers. They're doing their thing. And, of course, you have the National Hockey League. And I saw the Bet Online odds. The Ducks are considered the favorite, finally, for a game. It's about time. So maybe you want to put a little money on the Ducks for tomorrow's game. Hint, you probably should. And check out betonline.ag. They have all the current lines going on. And hey, there's a promo code on betonline.ag, isn't there?
There sure is a promo code. You can head to betonline.ag. You can use your desktop, your laptop, your tablet, mobile device. And if you head over to betonline.ag and you make your first deposit using promo code locked on, you will get a 50% welcome bonus. That's 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. And like JD said, we've got hockey covered, but it's also football, basketball, and even your favorite favorite Vegas casino games because Bet Online is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports, JD.
Yeah, that's right. So once again, promo code Locked On gets you a 50% welcome bonus at betonline.ag, which, by the way, is the exclusive online sportsbook of the Locked On Podcast Network. And please gamble responsibly.
Yes, indeed.
Like,
Bet Online is where the game starts.
Bet responsibly. Don't bet on the Arizona Coyotes.
Oh,
Don't do it.
maybe unless they're playing the Kraken.
Still don't do it.
Still no.
do it.
Still no.
No.
Oh man,
No.
sorry, Robin.
The
Hope you're not watching.
The Kraken are going to win the rest of those games this season.
They have to. And you know what?
Yeah.
We're gonna take a minute now to
actually, there was one further thing that I forgot to mention about the Bob Murray thing. Then we'll move on.
Oh yeah, sure, go for it.
There was one more thing that we forgot to talk about. The other reason that he said that he's resigning from his post is because he entered the alcohol abuse program.
Yeah.
This is very similar to what happened a year ago, and I have to bring this up. This exactly happened with Jim Montgomery from the Dallas Stars almost 2 years ago, where even the Stars personnel were saying you should probably quit. Well, he ended up getting fired from that job from Dallas. Fortunately, Montgomery has been given a second chance. He is now sober and working with the St. Louis Blues. So kind of like the redemption arc, like to try to end on a positive note there. But
yeah, and obviously we've seen this season that talking about the resources that are available for players or anyone in the NHL as they're dealing with this, the narrative is changing there as well. It's not great. Some of the comments about Carey Price, not great. But we are also starting to see some support, which I think is great. So I'm thankful actually that you brought that up because it is definitely something to watch. And as critical as I am of the National Hockey League, and I think they warrant it most of the time, I think it is important to note when potentially things that are put in place are being utilized in the proper way. And I think both of those examples are very good to mention in this context.
Right, and that's why I bring that up. So
indeed.
So well, trying to end on a positive note.
Exactly. But we again are here for this #Squadcast because our two teams are going to hit the ice in Seattle tomorrow. And I want to get a sense from you about this Ducks team. We know Anaheim, has a better record than Seattle coming into this game. They are 7-4-3. What have been some of the big takeaways for you, JD, so far with this Anaheim team?
I'm going to not scream this, but I'm going to say this somewhat loudly. #let the kids play. I've been saying this for a long time. And two of the kids, I'll say it again, let the kids play. Jamie Drysdale has been big for the Ducks. He was monumental in yesterday's overtime game against the Canucks. And people are talking about John Gibson doing well, Trevor Zegras doing his thing. And then you have Troy Terry, another youngster, only 24 years old. He has been resurgent this season. He's leading the Ducks in points, leading the team in goals, leading the team in nice hair, among other things. Troy Terry is the man right now.
I love that.
And I look at last night's game, and it's a testament to how much he has worked over the past 3 years. And I covered him in San Diego when he was just a rookie starting out. And one of the things that was going on is he was kind of pressing a little bit. He was putting a lot of pressure on himself and trying to do too much, trying to just do everything by himself. Open ice, he takes it by himself. A corner shot, takes it by himself. So he tried to do too much. He's learning to play more effectively with his teammates, and especially with Ryan Getzlaf. I mean, that line has been pretty unstoppable recently. So it's been the young guys. But God, no one's talked about Jamie Drysdale last night. I mean, he created the turnover. I mean, yes, Troy Terry, the streak. Yeah, Getzlaf 1,000 points. Yeah. No, got to give love to Jamie Drysdale on that filthy secondary assist. Just swiping the puck away, getting it to Getzlaf, who got it to Troy Terry. So
I love it. I love let the kids play. Obviously with an expansion team, we don't really get to benefit from that just yet. A lot of our kiddos are quite frankly, not with the team. But and it makes sense in it. So it's a very different situation that the Seattle Kraken have than the Anaheim Ducks. Now, as far as I asked you about what's working well with the Ducks. For Seattle, we still haven't locked into that consistency. I guess I'll be nice, although I rant every day on the podcast about why I think that is, particularly some of the defensive breakdowns. But let's oh my goodness. Let's look at these numbers though. So you mentioned some of the players that you mentioned. We see right here, Terry, obviously Eberlin, who we talked about early, leading in points and goals for the Seattle Kraken. Really glad to see that Jordan Eberlin has come up and is starting to impact this or be an impact player for the Seattle Kraken.
That includes the hat trick.
Yeah, exactly. But hey, look, 3 goals will take it. Only if the other team scores less, which unfortunately is usually not the case. But let's look at these team stats. Oh my goodness, is there
There's
anything?
There's one I want to focus on right now that is glaring. The power play for the Anaheim Ducks has been mighty this season. Oh, no, the power play has made a huge difference. I see you shaking your head there. The now and forever mighty Ducks are in the top 5 in power play for the first time in about a decade. That's how long it's been. And it's been a mix of the kids and the older guys. One guy that's been quarterback in the power play has been Kevin Shattenkirk, who's done a terrific job of mentoring the younger guys, but also having a resurgent season. I think the difference from Shattenkirk this season to last season, he's got the rest. The first season with Anaheim, Shatty was helping lead the Lightning to the Stanley Cup, and he had maybe, a month and a half, 2 months off, then right back into it. This time, he's got a whole 4 to 5 months off, taking care of himself, improving his health. Apparently, he wasn't completely 100% healthy last season. So this year, what a difference that makes. And even that power play number, they've had power play goals in their last 5 games, and their power play percentage has been approximately 30% in the past 5 games.
Wow. We'd be happy just to get into double digits at this point. The Seattle Kraken power play is terrible.
I can relate.
So
that was the Ducks last season.
Yeah,
30
sounds
seconds.
like, if we just hold on for a decade, then maybe we'll get something going.
You never know.
You never know. That's why we play the game. So yes, the power play is a pain point for sure. We talk about it all the time on Locked on Kraken, but honestly, how can you not? It's we're the 32nd team and we have the 32nd best power play. There you go.
Guess what place the Ducks were in last season on power play? 31st, because 31st, there was no 30.
Yeah, if you were in 32nd place,
I'll make the joke. I'll make the joke. The Ducks power play was so historically bad last season that they were 32nd in the league.
Oh man. Well, not anymore. Things have turned around. Happy for you, my friend. Now the penalty kill is a place where things even out a little bit, but still in favor of the Ducks. I think at times the Seattle Kraken have gotten just silly, sloppy play that has led to penalties. We've seen some of that, whether it's mental or physical fatigue at the end of periods and certainly at the end of games where the Seattle Kraken are not great. So this will be interesting to see if and when they are on the power play, or on the penalty kill, the Seattle Kraken, how they handle that pressure, especially because the Seattle Kraken just love, as of late, absolutely love giving up a goal right after they score one.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. I've also noticed the lack of discipline, frankly, with the Kraken, taking penalties at really horrible times. And especially against this Ducks power play, you do not want to give the Ducks many chances. They'll burn you.
Yeah, absolutely. Not something that we are looking forward to there. Another thing, though, that I want to talk about, and folks that watch the podcast regularly know that I always like to go over to the stats that they bring us, the Seattle Kraken, that is, and to talk about where the team, the Seattle Kraken, and then our opponent, in this case, the Anaheim Ducks,
Mhm.
what do these teams score? So, JD, as I'm pulling this up, do you have a good sense when are the mighty Ducks hot, and when are they not in a 60-minute game?
They've been hot in the first period recently, so I'm gonna say they've been a little bit stronger in the first period and somewhat in the third period as well because they've overcome some 3-goal deficits multiple times this season. They shouldn't play from behind.
Yeah. Well, that's the same for the Seattle Kraken. We just can't get it done. But here we go. All right, hot or not. So, okay, you were saying as of late, so the Anaheim Ducks throughout their what is it? 11 games? You've got 11 games, right?
13.
Oh, well, math is hard. Whatever. I don't know why I thought it was 11. Okay. So in the games that you've played, you actually score the most in the third period, but also letting up the most goals in the third period, which is kind of similar to the Seattle Kraken in that we let up the most goals in the third period, but we actually are starting to even out scoring either in the first or the third period, which is interesting because usually it's been or the first or second or first period. It's usually been that middle frame that's been really good for the Seattle Kraken. But the last handful of games, we've scored in the middle period, in the second period, but we've also given up goals. So we're starting to see that even out.
That middle period is kind of the Achilles heel for the Anaheim Ducks. That's where they need to be careful against Seattle. They've gotten hot in the second period on at least 3 occasions where they just got hot in the second. So I think that's where the Ducks have to be a little bit careful. It's a different change, long change versus short change. They got to be careful in the second.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, that change certainly makes a difference, and it's also about momentum.
Yeah,
If the
look at that
Seattle,
shot.
yes, yeah, talk about it.
They give up so many shots. I'll quiz you on this. Can you think of, just number wise, how many times have the Ducks allowed 40 shots or more this season?
Okay, so how many games do we say they've played?
They've played 13. Out of those
13.
13, how
Out of
many
those
times have they
13
given up 40 plus shots
to their opponent.
to their opponents?
Ooh, okay. All right, I'll try not to look at that. Let's say 7.
Not that many.
I don't know.
Not that many. Fortunately, only 4, but it's 4 too many.
4 too many. See, I was thinking like, yeah, the Seattle Kraken. See, here's the thing. We might get 40 plus shots, but how many of those are going to convert to goals?
Not many if they're not all high quality shots. I mean, the Seattle Kraken this season, and this is from the eye test watching a few Kraken games because West Coast, Best Coast. A lot of their shots have not come in that high danger slot. They haven't come in the trapezoid all that much. And especially games against better opponents, they stay out of the slot. And a lot of their shots are coming from the point, which is not going to cut it. Because John Gibson will see those shots from about 40 feet out. He'll see them. But they've got to do a better job of getting up close. I mean, they do a good job of screening, but they just got to get a little closer or get between the dots.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I also think that because they're not getting, in deep, they're not getting below the dots, like you said, they're also not getting very many second chances.
No.
So if you're not sniping it from the outside, then that's it. It's one and done for the Seattle Kraken. And that's something that I'd like to see them improve upon. But you mentioned goaltending. So who do you believe, they have the goaltender comparisons are up here for us on NHL.com. So it's Gibson for you guys.
Oh, it's got to be Gibson. Absolutely. Gibson has been by far the best goalie. I'm going to say this right now. Gibson is the best goaltender in the division right now.
Okay.
Right now. If he's not an all-star in Vegas later this season, something's wrong. He is one of the best 2 goalies in the division. Come on.
I like it. Let's pull up the stats here just so we know what we're working with. I love looking at the NHL.com stats. I think it's also because, like, coming from women's hockey, I do not get the greatest stats. Shout out to Mike Murphy, though, and Allison Lucan, who has done some amazing work in college, women's college hockey, but we don't often get very good stats. So I love
Props to
seeing that.
Allison.
Yes,
Killing it
so
on
good,
on the
so good.
broadcast.
Nail it. It's just like crushing it. All right. So here we see Gibson's numbers, save percentage, above 900, which is good. 927, a 6-2-2 record, goals against 2.34. They have Grubauer. Now, this is something that I've been talking about a lot on Locked on Kraken because Grubauer just seems out of sorts. We know that this kind of follows him from Colorado. Regular season Gruby versus playoff Gruby. We've even heard that, at times when he's adjusting to a new team can start off kind of slow. And I think we've seen that. Now, that being said, the Seattle Kraken are not really doing him any favors when they do not. Oh, anyone who listens to the show knows I'm going to go off on this. But when you don't protect the weak side or the far post.
Go off.
I don't understand. It's like not boxing out in basketball. How do you play at the professional elite level and not know how to box out or not know how to clear the front of the net? Body to body, stick to stick. These are basics. I've never played ice hockey in my life. I have skated. I have played roller hockey. So I understand like how the two happen together. But if
ball hockey's fun.
Ice, wouldn't know what I'm doing, except I would know to body, stick to stick. I cannot stand defensive breakdowns. I can't stand it.
You sound like me 2 seasons ago, by the way, because I was saying the exact same thing.
It makes me mad. It boils my blood. It burns my grits. So I will say that about Gruby and Drieger. That being said, the last game that Gruby played, he just, I think that he faced up for some shots. Yeah, there was a body or two in front, but there were two gnarly, goals that went 5-hole on Gruby while he was squared up.
That's Arizona. Another thing Seattle has to work on, by the way, is clearing the front of the net and making sure they don't have many screens in front of them, because that's where a lot of the goals allowed for Seattle has come from.
Correct.
Get the bodies out of the way.
Gotta get the bodies out.
The Ducks are pretty good at that, by the way. Just FYI, if you get Getzlaf,
I'm happy for you.
In front, yeah, the Ducks are doing a better job with that. They have the bodies for it.
Well, and that's the thing. At the forward position in particular, the Seattle Kraken are not the most skilled forwards. We knew that from the expansion draft, so that's no surprise. What has been surprising, though, is that they built up a specific kind of defender, and I'm just wondering, what's going on?
What the heck?
What's going on? You've got all this size, like 6'5", 6, whatever. Use your body, please.
Yeah, the Ducks are very good at that. They have the girth in order to stay, even though they're somewhat older. Someone like Ryan Getzlaf, who lives down on the crease area, get him down in front. He'll screen anytime.
Here we go. We have I want to, since we
stayed
on goalies, we are going to put John Gibson's unsustainable save percentage to the test.
We're going to the mean, baby.
Baby, let's go. Bang, bang. Law of averages, everything pans out, or whatever the math.
You know what? That's fine. If the Kraken are going to score 4 goals on Gibby, that's fine. The Ducks will get 2 power play goals in that case.
And then we will get none, because that's what we do, or don't, for that matter. But okay, I do want to get to another comment, and this is also something that we heard Marissa and Jemmy ask Hayden Flurry himself. But I want to get your thoughts before we go to this comment. You know where I'm going with this. But we are an expansion team. We had an expansion draft, and because you are not representing the Las Vegas Golden Knights, that means that we did take one of your players. The Seattle Kraken played Mr. Steal Your Boy, Hayden Flurry. How you feeling about that?
Asset management by now former GM Bob Murray struck its ugly head again. You know, the Ducks gave up so much, and they got Hayden Flurry, and then he's gone. So talk about lack of an asset management. Same thing with Yanni Hakanpää, who went to the Carolina Hurricanes. Hayden Flurry, another one of those guys who kind of went unnoticed for the Ducks for a while and kind of misused in a way. So to see him gone was no surprise, but sad that it came to the expansion draft, because I think Fleury could have been protected. He just simply wasn't. I mean, the only good thing about that is it gave room for Jamie Drysdale and Simon Benoit. So for that, I say, yeah, I guess I'm a little bit. It's easy for me to say. I mean, I'm over it now because they're doing well, so it's easy.
Right. Yeah. Had we
But
been
if
playing maybe like first game of the season, maybe the feels would have been a little more acute. But
Yeah.
Hayden was asked about this, asked by Marissa and Jemmy with the Seattle Times, "Hey, are revenge games a real thing?" And he's like, "Oh yeah. Oh yeah."
Oh,
And then
revenge games are a big deal.
he's like, that's all I'm going to say about that. So, here's the question now. Will he perform in this revenge game against former team? And will his numbers be raised to the rafters pregame?
I mean, if they already raised number 32, then why not, right? Whoa.
Ouch. Bang, bang.
Sorry,
Shots
had to do it. Had to
fired.
do it. Now, revenge games are totally a thing. I wouldn't be surprised if Fleury plays and scores a point. That totally happens. I'll bring up something that happened recently, which ticked off my colleague Sarah Avampado. If Sarah's listening, this happened last night in Montreal, where Philip Deneau, he got booed. He got booed. First touch of the game, and what happens in that game? Guess who won? The Los Angeles Kings over the Montreal Canadiens. So I'm just saying.
Just
But-
saying.
but
All right,
revenge
revenge
games.
game. And Hayden will have the home ice advantage, though, in his revenge game. So not having to go back to his old barn with his new team.
Yeah.
It's the opposite. So I wonder if that
So-
has an effect. But Hayden, was on the day that he was interviewed about really wanting to commit to playing solid defense, and that he wants to commit to that defense being first. That's the day that he breaks out scoring.
Yep.
Which I thought was
So,
hilarious.
I actually did get a question that
All
I would
right.
like to answer. I don't know if he's watching, but this is from Josh Nowakowski, who asked, how long does Troy Terry's point streak last?
You talked about it earlier.
So he's got a 12-game point streak going on right now. You know who has greater point streaks than Troy Terry right now? The Mount Rushmore of Anaheim Ducks. Ryan Getzlaf, Corey Perry, Paul Correa, and Teemu Solani. That's the list. That's it.
Wow.
So with that said, I'm going to say Troy Terry gets a point. You know who's going to get a point tomorrow also? Ryan Getzlaf, which will make arena number 38 on the Getzlaf scoring tour. Yeah, how'd you like that
Love
stat? Getzlaf has scored a point in 37 NHL arenas, past and present, obviously.
Yes.
About to be 38. Hey,
Hey.
I'm predicting. I'm predicting right now.
I love that.
They're on the same
I'm
line. Why not?
Definitely gonna look out for that. That will be fantastic.
Yeah. So to answer Josh's question, I'm gonna say 14 games, because they have the Kraken, then they have Vancouver after that, and then the gauntlet starts with the Washington Capitals. Then they have a tough go at it the following couple of weeks. I'm gonna just say 14 games. Will be
Okay.
the streak.
All right. So you mentioned Vancouver is coming up next for you. They are right above us in the standings for the
Hey, the
Pacific
Ducks just
Division.
beat Vancouver, so you're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We're still looking to get into double digits in points. We're sitting at 9, Vancouver with 12, the Golden Knights with 14, LA and San Jose at 15. And then we have the Ducks and Calgary both with 17 points. Anaheim in that third position, Calgary number 2, and Edmonton at the top of the table. Would you look at that?
There it is. I was waiting for that.
Fantastic. We have one more comment here before we start winding down. Ooh, what do you think about this one?
Oh, totally agree. This whole season has been a revenge tour for Kevin Shattenkirk. The disrespect. I mean, I'll admit, I even called him out last season, and he's already, by the way, he's already surpassed his point total from last season in 13 games.
Wow. I mean, you love to see it for him. Hope it doesn't last. For our sake.
Watch tomorrow be something like 5-4. You know, I'll be nice and say maybe it'll go overtime and the Ducks will give the Kraken a point.
You know what? At this point, we'll take it. And listen, 5-4 at this rate, the Seattle Kraken, they have to keep up with that kind of scoring just because that they're giving up that many goals. And
I just want chaos.
I don't know what's worse, like having the ability to score that many goals, but only doing it because you have to, because you gave up that many goals, and then losing it at the end. I don't know what's worse, that or just like completely like the game just busting wide open and you getting blown out. I don't know.
The correct answer is yes.
Yes. Both are terrible. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But luckily, I guess the Seattle Kraken really haven't had that issue. We got whooped pretty bad a little bit earlier in the season, but have been able to kind of keep up pace, but it's just falling behind all of the time. Or Yanni Cord scoring a fantastic goal, and then just like that, boom, Vegas gets them, giving up 2 goals within the first minute of the third period in Vegas. Like that stuff just can't happen.
No worse than the Ducks giving up a goal a minute in, seemingly frequently.
Yeah.
Or even worse, the Ducks giving up a goal with mere seconds left in a game or regulation.
Yeah, we've had both of those. We've had both of those. So the pain. Ooh, the pain. So you hold the cards when it comes to most statistical categories and obviously the record. But as we say, in the depths, which is the membership group for the Seattle Kraken, we have to hold fast and stay true. But JD Hernandez, it was so fun to do a proper NHL squad cast with you. I cannot wait till we get some more chaos in the Pacific Division and we can talk about all of the things. This was fantastic. I hope the fans enjoyed it. I hope, that things settle in for the Ducks. Obviously, it's never great to have personnel changes, just generally speaking. But obviously, this is something that it seems like needed to happen and hopefully is a step in the right direction for the franchise.
Winning heals some wounds. I'll say that.
Winning healed some wounds. Yeah. We will see how that all pans out. But JD, before I let you go, anything that you want to plug that's coming up on Locked On Ducks so that we can make sure our NHL fans are making that their first listen?
Well, I live in SoCal, so I'm excited about a new team coming to the American Hockey League. We got to give it up for the Palm Springs Firebirds. Cannot wait to cover them in person next season. It's going to be a lot of fun. I know you'll be sourcing me for the AHL stuff.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. We are definitely going to talk about it. The Firebirds. Hey, I'm wearing my Phoenix. Okay. I had this big thing. I went to Elon. Our mascot is the Phoenix. I played sports there. So I am a Phoenix. Okay.
Nice.
Like that's a real thing. And so I was like, it's going to be Phoenix. It's going to be Phoenix. And so I was close. A Phoenix is a Firebird, but yes, I think they're interchangeable for the most part. But yeah, Firebird was the right way to go for the team. But I love how they inverse the colors. So the blue of the Seattle Kraken is now the eye of the Firebirds, and that red that we see for the Seattle Kraken is the same red that we see prominent throughout the Coachella Valley Firebirds. I love what they're doing. I think it's going to be fantastic. And you bet I'm coming out to see some AHL action once we get the team up and running.
When you come out, for that. But anyway, so things to look forward to on my podcast, Locked On Anaheim Ducks. I do actually devote a whole day to AHL hockey, which is coming up tomorrow, Goals Thursdays, where I talk about the San Diego Gulls, and they're currently playing the Henderson Silver Knights. So I'll be talking about all that stuff. And throughout the week, I talk Anaheim Ducks, which you could find free and available across all platforms, including Odyssey, Stitcher, Spotify, Google, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and join in on the fun.
Fantastic.
And if you hear
We're
Monday,
loving
so you
it.
could hear me. Yeah, Monday I went off on a pretty epic rant against the Coyotes.
Oh,
I
boy.
was ticked. I was
Everyone's
ticked.
hating on the Coyotes. Oh, man.
Yeah, the
shout out to
anti-sportsmanship team.
Alexis Peterson Peterson, excuse me, from Locked On, or not Locked On, from Bar Down Beauties, who's been on Locked On Wild, did a hilarious video, just like laughing, like LOL. I don't have to worry about waking my boyfriend while watching this game because there's nothing that's going to be happening. We're playing Arizona. I was like,
Yeah.
ooh, and then I was like, oh man, but they beat us.
I hope the Kraken beat the Coyotes the rest of the season.
Oh gosh, me too. That was a bad game. You just can't get around it. But anyway, Jason Hernandez, Stimpy JD, loved having you on the show. Make sure that you are following Locked On Ducks, and if that's your first listen, then come over to Locked On Kraken. And if it's vice versa, either way, we want to make sure that you know that everything on the Locked On Podcast Network is available for free for you to listen to, including Locked On Bets, which is your daily one-stop shop for all your gambling needs. Locked On Bets is hosted by your boy Q, an expert and analyst and insight you will also get from Lee Sterling. So that's going to do it for this Squadcast. The puck drops tomorrow at Climate Pledge Arena. This show will be available anywhere you catch your podcast Thursday. So this will be our Thursday show. And we're going to have you back, JD. That's it.
West
Them's
Coast,
the
Best
rules.
Coast. West Coast, Best Coast. Let's
That's
go.
It. I love it. Well, have a good one. Good luck for the rest of the season, but not for Thursday.
I was going to give a point. Overtime.
We'll take it. Let's send it into overtime. Let's hit the Buffalo Wild Wings button, right?
Let's go.
Let's go. All right, folks. Remember, Kraken fans, hold fast, stay true, and of course, let's go Kraken.